now.
What I will say is that I'm as pissed off with everything else as the rest of you. We're having to pay for this. It's not our problem, we're having to pay. I don't see why that is. If most of us have to manage our affairs properly, I don't see why it should be our loss when the banks choose not to do that. I don't want my money spent bailing out bankers. I'd like my money spent on useful things like decent nurses and teachers, and actually doing something about the things that are really urgent for all of us around the world, like the fact that we're running out of oil, we're oil dependent, and no one at the top seems to be doing anything to help us move from that state of affairs to something that we can all cope with post-oil peak. If we're all going to have any sort of reasonable future, and for those of you with children and grandchildren, you might want to start thinking about this a little deeper. At the moment, the sums don't add up. I'm convinced that we're being lied to, and basically we're being stolen from. The politicians who are supposed to work for us seem to be working for the bankers and the small number of people who control things, and they control it for their benefit. What we seem to have is a small number of fairly well-off people running politics around the world for the benefit of themselves and their wealthy mates, and that's not terribly healthy for the rest of us. What we ought to be thinking about is what we're going to do about providing some sort of sustainable future, about being perhaps self-sufficient in energy and food, the sort of stuff that does matter. We're not seeing the people in charge doing anything about this. What I'm seeing at the moment is an awful lot of world leaders who seem to have less of a clue than we do, who aren't quite sure how we're going to get out of the mess, and aren't really planning for the future. There's this big panic about bailing out the banks and somehow looking after the people who don't really need looking after, but not the rest of us. They're doing it with our money, they're lying to us about it, and I've had enough. Long time ago, I asked the absent Andrew Turner a few important questions about things like why his government was so kind to big business with things like tax breaks for Vodafone and whatnot that would have saved us all these cuts in jobs and services. I'm still waiting for an answer. I think maybe they ought to start listening, taking notice of a growing worldwide Occupy movement, because this might be the last chance they have to actually listen to a few good ideas, do something about it, and maybe, just maybe, avoid things getting even worse and degenerating into the sort of chaos that they probably wouldn't be too comfortable with. Rant over.